Good afternoon. Adolfo, bienvenido a la presentación. Con mucho gusto. Claro y fuerte son perfectos. Y vamos a ver qué pasa cuando usamos el programa de los tiempos futuros. Bonjour, comment allez-vous, Thierry? Good to see you here. Welcome to my presentation. Happy almost Labor Day weekend. I am the founder of Back to the Future Trading, the president, and it's an honor and a privilege to spend the next 45, 50 minutes here with you today. I hope that you're doing well, whatever part of the world you're in, whichever climate catastrophe you're dealing with, whichever fascist dictator you're wrestling with, whatever social warriors you're moving from the streets out from in front of your car. Let's collectively breathe in and breathe out. We congratulate ourselves rather, for not having murdered anyone today. You did great. You're crushing it. You're killing it. Congratulations. Let's make sure this is recording. It is. Fantastic. All right, Dave says loud and clear. Just want a quick shout out, say hello to people, recognize some names. Chase, we already said hello to you. Dave said I was expecting somebody. Michael Bleckley, good to see you here this afternoon. Dave asked me to make sure we handle any questions or concerns you had today. So if you wouldn't mind, Michael, telling me what market you trade, that'll allow me to focus some energy and attention on that for you as well, so that I can perhaps cast some of my Shekinah glory light onto those signals and show you how great they were today. Earl, yo, bro. How are you, sir? Good to see you as well. Did you make it up to NC yet? Or are you still down in the motherland? Cashiers, if I remember correctly. Hey, Ball. Good to see you as well. Takahiro, good to see you as well. Paul, Mary, hey Mary. Chris, welcome. New member to the Force family, Keith, good to see you, Grandpa. I hope you're doing well. Doug Scott, thank you. Man, Jerry, lots of great names and new faces and older faces. It's good to have you guys here today, ladies as well, and thank you for joining up with me. We're a weird company. We don't make sense, and most people don't know what to do with us. They don't know whether or not to make heads or tails with the information I'm about to tell you. And those of you that are here today listening to my voice, I don't believe you found us accidentally. I believe that this is sort of an ordained moment for both of us, and I take it very seriously. The people who find us have been looking for this thing that I've been entrusted with, I guess, for years in many cases. And if you're here today and you're feeling a kinship with the information, it makes sense to you, it speaks to what you've experienced, then you're home. You're in the right place at the right time. And so we'll try to make that a sacred moment for you. I don't want to gloss over that fact. Most people come and they just sort of poo-poo it and walk away. We go above and beyond to prove to you the theories that I'm about to show you. In fact, we give you the times and the directions markets are about to move in advance, 2 days before they happen. We believe markets are predictable. We believe markets are manipulated. We believe the largest players in the world have a plan before the bell rings in the Euro or the Asian or the US markets. Somebody in a mahogany-laden desk somewhere has decided when and where and in what direction the S&P, the Dow, oil futures, ASI, wheat, where the stops are going to get run and where they're going to take it. I believe that. I've seen too much, too many good news reports and the market falls, too many bad news reports and the market rises. Jamie Dimon from JP Morgan says a recession is coming and the market goes to an all-time high. Jamie Dimon from JP Morgan says that there's no worry for a recession and the market falls hundreds and hundreds of points days after days after days in a row. And so I take this moment very seriously. If you're here, you want to be convinced beyond a reasonable shadow of a doubt that what I'm telling you is true. And so we've given you the times in advance. 2 days have passed. And now we're here to say thumbs up or thumbs down. Do I leave with my head held high once more, or in shame, having been caught in a guru lie, waddling in a puddle of snake oil? Everything we do is based on a belief that markets are rigged, that time is important, and that people are coordinating movements among the juggernauts of institutional trades. I believe the only way to find evidence for that is to turn a program loose. A bloodhound, if you will, a scent dog, one of those dogs that the cops tell you they'll run around your car if you don't let them search your trunk. An electronic version of one of those canines that looks for these times where markets are rising and falling and rising and falling at certain times over and over and over again. And when we find those patterns, we can essentially predict the way markets will move out into the future. And so there's a number of ways to do that. Of late, I have been torturing the people on Facebook. I've been sending out forecasts before the markets open, in addition to the ones that you guys have been receiving from me. And so in the morning, I'll come back and I'll say, hey, here are the times that I'm expecting markets to go up and down today. And you'll see on my chart that there are a series of blue and white dots waiting out in the future. A signal at 9:20 in the morning that I drew by hand. Let me pick a color that actually shows up. 9:20 Eastern, 10:25, 11:30, 12:35, 1:30, 2:15, 3 o'clock. And I tell these people in these different trading groups, hey, price action is cool, but time is the most important factor. Hey, volume's nice, but it can be spoofed, it can be faked. And Earl, you'll notice I don't get very many comments on these pages that have 7,000, 8,000 members. In fact, I got one heart from Moez Fawaz. And so it's very hard to break through. And when we give you those times in advance, some really cool stuff happens, Adolfo. Cuando buscamos por los tiempos en el futuro y regresamos al presente y ver qué pasar, podemos ver qué pasar a los tiempos. Y tú puedes ver cuando es blanco en el futuro, el mercado se levanta, y cuando es blue, mueven debajo. when the buy times were predicted, Bala, you can see where I had drawn a signal at 9:20. And Earl, do you see what happened at the 9:20 signal? A full hour into the future. And then when I told that group of 8,000 E-mini S&P traders what to expect at 10:25, we can see what happened at 10:25. It formed another high and it fell. When was the next push up expected? At 11:30. And the market rose. It didn't make a new high. In fact, it made a lower high. Then we had a signal at 12:35. It dropped at 12:35. And then the software told us to look for a move from 1:30 to 2:15. Adolfo, ¿qué expectamos a 2:15 hoy? Expectamos el mercado por vender. And it was expected to fall from 2:15 until when? ¿Cuándo? 3 o'clock. A las 3 por tarde. ¿Y qué expectamos próximo? What did we expect next? Since here, this is when I told everyone the moves were coming. What were we expecting at 3 o'clock this afternoon? Since 8:20 in the morning. Michael, we were expecting the ES to rise until when? 3:40. Am I making this up? No. It's right here. And so these times were the times that I gave out 2 days ago to people who've been taking their trials, people who've been using the predictive times that I sent that are on the website that you can watch for a month. And so when you look at these signals, you begin to see this is warp, TachEon warp. But look, what I told you to expect 2 days later, Michael, that's not too bad. It's not too bad from the perspective of accuracy, but it's horrible from the perspective of fairness. It didn't matter what the reports were going to say today. It didn't matter what the economic results were going to be. They were going down at 8:20, up at 9:20, down at 10:25, up at 11:30, down at 12:35, up from 1:30 to 2:15, down from 2:15 to 3 o'clock, and up at 3:40, drop it again. How did I do that? Or more accurately, Michael, how did the software do it? Pretty cool stuff. And it's not just limited to one day. It's not just limited to one set of signals. In fact, the signals that I gave yesterday, Michael, on the 5-minute chart, can you take a look with me real quick? I know Dave's been talking to you. If we look at what the software warned us about for yesterday, London market through the US market, Michael, it told us to look for selling pressure at 2:05 until when? 5:50 Eastern time. What was supposed to maybe probably going to happen at 5:50? It was supposed to stop going down and experience buying pressure until when? Until 6:35. And then selling until when? 7:15. What was supposed to happen at 7:15 yesterday when we were warned on Tuesday? Rachel updates the times every Tuesday for Wednesday and Thursday, up until 8:15. Now, Michael, I'm sorry to report that we were off one candle before it pushed back. It was actually 8:20 when it dropped. And now here's the crazy part. This is the crazy part. What were we expecting to happen from 8:45 forward? Long from 8:45, we get all the way to the report at 10 o'clock. Michael, how high had it risen if you were on the right side of the market? $1,000 per contract. Now, at 11 o'clock, look at this with me because it's kind of cool. We have what I call a fish hook. Michael, can you see that they pushed down at 11 o'clock exactly? Can everybody see right here? The candle closed and it dropped from 45.20, $450 per contract, $9 straight down. So as the trend was rising, Michael, do you see how they were selling? Adolfo, how they were selling at this time? And eventually they continue to go up. Larry, it's the same book. I'm going to update it here probably the first or second week of September. I have some changes I need to make. Welcome back, Larry. So when we look at these signals and we go back day after day after day, we're seeing that the banks had a plan and they execute these plans and they continue to execute them. It's not just happening on a 5-minute chart either, right, guys? We knew watching the E-mini S&P daily chart that a buy time was coming up on the largest time frame. And so I want you to see here, and I'll share my settings, don't panic, I always do. Someone always freaks out and asks, what are your settings? On the daily chart, I'm using an unconventional parameter setting. I'm looking at a 1230 instead of a 714. My swing strength is a 5. This is what I've had for the last year of mine. No Bala. Unfortunately not. But Dave can help arrange something that will make it easier for her. If you tell Dave, he'll help you guys out because you're referring her. We can do something. I can't do that. So on the daily chart, we've been looking at these big moves up, especially in the direction of the trend, which is what I look for when I trade. So there was a trend signal on May 25th, and how long did it supposed to last for? Until June 6th. The next trend signal was from June 8th until when? June 22nd. The next signal was from June 28th until July 6th. And then here's where things start to hit the fan. We go up, and then right here on August 7th, we finish lower than we started, Mike. And that's the first warning sign that the banks have decided that's about as high as they're going to go for now. It falls and drops now until August 10th. And then this is the first line that hits the stop right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4 daily bars. This one fails. The sell signal works. And now here's what concerns me. When we get to the sell time on August 23rd, boom, comes all the way back to the moving average. The biggest bear candle actually all the way through here shows up on August 23rd. And then the next signal was August 28th. But can you guys see how long that daily chart is supposed to last until? September 4th. Michael Bleckley, I'm worried about September 4th. Because what banks do is they'll run stops. So I see one of several things happening here. Number one, we're coming up into this area where they were coming up into and pushing and getting pushed down. And that high is right there. In my mind, watching what I've seen banks do, I see us coming up and then taking out that high right here, Earl, and then coming back down. I don't think they'll make it to the all-time high unless they find gold under the White House, in which case we'll never see an ounce of it. So I generally think they'll come here, trip a structural high by September 4th, and then drop it down into the 12th. And that's a daily chart. So we can use this from intraday all the way up through a daily analysis. In fact, I've been analyzing Bitcoin on a daily chart using a slightly different setting. And I've shown you guys my settings each week, what I'm using for Bitcoin. If you look in here, you'll see that I have a 9000. And it's very rare when I use an unconventional parameter. But Bitcoin, I'm using a 9 trading days look back with a swing strength of 5. And so I've been waiting for a sell signal on August 28th. It turns out it happened on the 29th. And so the move has started. That is expected to last now until September 13th. Where do I think they're going to go? Well, where would I go if I was a bank? Number one, I would try to trip this stop before September 13th. Number two, I would really try to trip that stop by September 13th. And so I think like a gangster. Bala, there's a cool way to use the software to predict where price might go. So in the case of Bitcoin, for example, let me show you a quick technique. Are you okay if I spend a minute here doing it? You can do it intraday. I can study how far price has moved down at each of the selling signals. So from the high until the low of the next signal. Do you see what I'm doing, Bala? And so what that tells me is when they move, how far do they go? When they move, how far do they go? I know if you ask me to run in a gym class around a track, I can make it around one time before bad things start to happen biologically. Lactic acid begins to form in places it's never been before. Muscles begin to shrink and knot up. My breathing becomes labored about a quarter mile, and things start to slow down. When you look at how far banks usually move at a certain time, we can now pick these triangles like cherries from a tree. I call this an exertion analysis. And now, Bala, I can put that triangle over here. And I can measure, on average, how far down does it usually go, and when might it get there? So I know the minimum, Bala, ready? For Bitcoin, the minimum it was going to fall was here. And look at where we're at right now. there are 1, 2, 3, 4 triangles. 2 of the 4 are down here. So half of those. And then there's one right around there. So if I saw the daily bar on the 30th close down, I could have shorted it with a high above there. And then there's minimum target 1, which is 2 to 1 risk reward. But if I'm holding a runner right here, buddy, which would be a stop run of that move. And we can do that intraday as well. I had a wonderful analysis of Amazon on a stocks and options trading page I joined on Facebook. And I warned everybody on the Facebook page that Apple was going to move, not Amazon, Apple, from August 14th until September 5th. And Bala, can you see how easy it would be for us to perform that same exertion analysis in reverse? To go and measure how far did the market go from its low until its high. Right? We can kind of come here, and I'm just doing this real quick, and then get a sense of how far lately do banks move, when they move, to influence the market. And I can get a feel for how far it might go. And so at the open of that August 14th candle, I had a pretty good idea they were going to come somewhere around here. Right? 1, 2, 3 triangles are sort of all in that area. And then the outlier is here, around $195. Yeah, these guys follow a plan. They follow a plan. And it's not limited to just one market spectrum. We can look at other markets. The euro US dollar, for example. Bala, does that look like a random market to you, or does this look like a market that had a plan, a coordinated effort? Yeah. How long are we going to fall? September 4th. What's likely to happen September 4th? Well, the same things that were happening August 8th, June 30th, and June 9th, and May 24th, and April 21st. A concerted effort to push the currency higher. Well, why? That's where people get hung up. Did you know that? They always have a brain aneurysm on the why question. Well, who's doing this? And why are they doing that? And you know, trading is a zero-sum institution, and if everybody's in on it, then nobody's in on it. No! He's going to pop. I don't focus on the why. I just know the what. And every week I come here, I tell you what to expect. And 95% of you ignore me. And 5% of you end up purchasing and doing really well. If we look at oil futures, one of the most unpredictable markets on the planet. For sure, right? I'm going to show you 2 layers of this chart. One is very basic, Michael, and one of them is a little more advanced. When we look at the basic signals, Michael B., would you say that the movements today on the 3-minute oil chart were random, helter-skelter, roll the dice, ask the magic 8-ball what's going to happen, because I sure as Shinola don't know? Or were the moves in oil futures today coordinated and pre-planned per the times the software found and told us about 2 days beforehand? This is oil futures. One guy runs out into a canal somewhere on a little boat, and he fires up into the sunshine. He gets too close to an oil tanker. Iran goes out and does something. We're told, oh, oil's unpredictable. This doesn't look very unpredictable. Look at the blue dots. Those were times price was supposed to fall. Look at the white dots. Those were times price was supposed to rise. What if, what if we purchased oil futures at the time it was supposed to go up? Stay with me. And we exited by the time it was supposed to get sold. What if we purchased oil futures at the time it was supposed to go up in the direction of the trend, and we sold it by the time people were expected to sell it? You mean like with Apple, we buy calls at the white dots when it's moving higher and higher? We look at puts when the trend line is moving down at the blue times? Yeah. What if, Michael, we bought oil futures at 948 and we sold it at 1024? Well, we'd inevitably have a stop, right? And we'd have to give some of that back. So we make 20, make 30, make 40. That's 90. And then, Bala, we give 27 of it back. Can we live with that? Probably, right? Any questions about what I'm showing anybody here right now? Okay. Let me show you. My data provider is Kinetic. Kinetic.com. There's a second layer. Craig, different data providers in different geographic locations will cause different data to appear. All of the signals that I'm using on my chart are based off of a standard setting. So right here, I'm using an 8 swing strength, calendar days, 714. Adolfo, the times will be the same on the micros because the micros and the macros move at the same times. Yeah, that setting, Craig, I haven't changed in a really long time. 1, 2, 3, 0, swing strength 5. No reason to send to anybody. If that's what you have plugged in and you have a different data provider, then that's what you're getting. Different data providers report different data to their clients. We compared TradingView's price bars to NinjaTrader's price bars one day, and it was almost a different market. Okay, so there's another layer of this, and you can approach Ron if you want, Craig, and see if maybe there's a historical data corruption on your side, where you have to reload the historical data or delete it and reload it. We'll work with you if it's frustrating. Just email ron@backtothefuturetrading.com. Michael, in the handouts is a book. This is the most important book I know about, and I'm going to update it. Larry reminded me I need to get to it. No, I understand. I would feel the same way if I were you. There are two components of time that I've identified are of paramount importance. And we can get to these predictive times and know what to do with them if we're paying attention to two things. Number one, we send the program into the past to look for the times that the market we're trading is consistently moving up and down. Let's call them abnormal time patterns that repeat. That's the first thing we have to do, Michael, Adolfo. And we can do that with Ethereum, we can do it with Bitcoin, we can do it with corn futures. Wheat right now is having a day. When you're one of the largest wheat producers in a world where wheat is important, and a country like Russia says, yeah, you can't ship it anymore, that has implications. If you're not using warp on wheat signals right now, ZW, Z, whiskey, man, you're missing a party. Number two, one of the most important elements of time are the patterns. Time has a language of patterns that inform us what to expect at the times. And I've tried to translate many of those patterns rather. I've tried to translate many of those patterns in V1 of this guidebook that I'm about to update. There are a total of 8 patterns now. And you guys are going to see 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6 of them. Sometimes, and the software does all of this for the first 6 patterns at least. Sometimes, Mike, we arrive at a signal like a buy dot or a buy time, and it goes in the complete opposite direction. And for years, I wasn't sure what was happening because I didn't speak the language of time. I wasn't fluent in it. And then one day I sat down and started applying rules, translations to the signals I was seeing. For example, if you arrive at a buying time in the future, if you arrive there and the candle of the buying time, or the one on either side of it, if any one of those 3 candles are a higher structural high than the prior high, it tends to do this. It tends to fall. And it goes in the complete opposite direction. And then, Mike, sometimes when we arrive at a selling pressure signal, a selling time, if the signal candle, the one to the left or the right, if any one of those 3 form a new structural low, it tends to go boop, 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 in the opposite direction. We call these inversion signals, backwards signals, bizarro Superman signals. They do the exact opposite of what was expected. And in each instance, there's a brief description on how they behave in the wild and how to trade them when we see them. So, for example, let's use the same oil chart we were looking at a moment ago. And I want you to see how this next level begins to inform how we trade this market. With your Warp software, Craig, you can come into the parameters and uncheck the box that says show signal dots only. And Michael, if I deactivate that filter, it's a Disney song. A whole new world. Look at all these arrows and circles and numbers. Oh my goodness. It's fantastical. So now, remember that signal at 1045? Bala, check it out. If I apply that rule, that translation, Michael, can you see how the candle at 1045 is the highest high at that point? It has broken through all the structure. It formed the highest high. Adolfo, can you see that? Rajesh? Does the signal on the left on the actual chart match the pattern from a book I wrote 6 years ago, 7 years ago even? Yeah. So the software goes ding, ding, ding. That's a 5. Well, how do I trade a 5? I wait for it to break the high in the direction of the trend. You can sell it if you want. You can sell it with a low risk stop. So Bala, you're completely correct. What I would do, if you're going to sell it, when the candle closes, put your stop right above it, right up there, and hold it until the next signal. You can do that with a small stop loss. Bingo. Some of you guys pick tops and bottoms. I'm a trend trader. And so more and more I'm coming over to the dark side. But for now, let's assume we're still trend traders. Michael, using that very simple notation in the book, I'm going to be a buyer if it comes above this line. Rajesh, does that make sense? I have a buy stop sitting 2 ticks above that high. So time is a wonderful piece of music. When I was a kid, I don't even know if they still have it. My mother enrolled me in the Suzuki School of Music for violins. The Suzuki School. Yeah, the Suzuki method is still here. You thought it was just a motorcycle. It is not. They were shoving kids into a room, and they made us, Earl, they had us take a margarine or a butter box and tape a ruler to it. And we had to practice holding the fake violin under our chin while we held the ruler. And then we learned what each note was, where to put our fingers. If you see this, you put your finger there. If you see this, you put your finger here. If I'm a buyer, if that candle, Rajesh, comes through here like that, my stop goes under the low of the candle that breaks through the line. It's just underneath the candle that pushes through. Did I learn the devil went down to Georgia? No. No. I ended up taking piano lessons and writing songs so girls would go to the prom with me. And it worked. Thanks, Mom. So the pattern 5 kept me out of this loser now. Rajesh, if I come back here, look, here's the 812 signal. Let's look at it through the filter of pattern 5. This candle and this candle are higher highs. Actually, the third one is, and now Michael, that's the line I have to cross. And Bala, do you see how it punches through 82.46 right here? 82.47 is my buy stop. My stop goes under the candle that broke through the level. Ding, 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 ding. Here's my stop. Womp, womp. So now I don't enter here, I enter up here because it matches what a pattern 5 does. What does a pattern 5 do? Look, today's signals versus a 6-year-old pattern. In the language of time, it usually dips down and goes back up. And when it goes back up, I'm right here. Chase, does that make sense? Time has a language. I know about 8 words of time. 8 words. They're pretty important words. I'm sure there's more, but for now, 8's pretty good. All right, so now that's when I take that trade. That's when I take the 948 signal. And if you're Bala or Rajesh, you're going to short this because you're crazy. You're not going to go long. Okay. Now, 11:15 comes, womp womp. It's a 4. How does a 4 behave? Well, let's check the book. I have people who print this book out and they reference it every time a signal comes. How does a 4 behave? A 4 is one of those bizarro Superman upside down backwards signals. It says blue, but it kind of goes up first. It says it's a vegetarian, but there's a bottle of barbecue sauce in its refrigerator. It says it's a member of PETA, but that sure looked like a fur coat in her closet. It's a mystery burrito wrapped with an enigma tortilla. It does both things. So at first, Chase, do you see how it starts to fish hook up right here? I call that the fish hook. And I love it when I see it. When it comes down and does this little check mark, just like the book. Womp womp. Weep. I've been giving out this stupid histogram guide for so long. Every webinar it's in there. You can't tell me I'm using fake guru knowledge because it's been in the public domain now forever. So how do we trade it? You see that little line, Bala? It says right here, what do we do? Just use a breakout threshold below the lowest low of 3 candles. I remember at least a two tick gap. Woo! Freudian slip. The trend continuation level. All right, so let's do that. 2 ticks under is here. How do I trade it? When it punches through that line, I put my stop 2 ticks above the candle that punched through the line. When do I exit? Michael, I'm going to exit when I get to the next time. Right there. And then that's lunch. So now, if I just use the signals with trend and I apply that weird filter with the advanced language, I lost less money. And now over here, that trade was in a little bit later. So now it's plus 20, plus 20, plus 40, plus 14. No entry at 10:45. When you first get the software, I recommend not turning on the advanced patterns for 2 weeks. When you turn them on right away, I would buy at the puncture, Bala. I would not sell it. Some of the crazy heads here would sell the pattern 5 with a stop right above the high because it's a low risk short. But they're catching falling knives and trying to pick tops. The 10:45 pattern is what I just said. You would buy it if it broke through the high above that white line. You could sell it right here and try to hold it until the next signal if you're a counter trend trader. Each are wired a little differently. Some of you are a little cuckoo, and that's cool. Any questions about this? I kind of knew I was in trouble today. I had a moment. I'm not sure if it's still here. I had a moment earlier today when I posted my 15-minute chart in the E-mini S&P room. This may get me in trouble, but I'm going to say it and teach it anyway. Michael, I had a signal I posted this 15-minute chart into the Facebook group I told you about earlier. Let me show you. So guys, earlier this morning, I had a 5-minute signal, and then Michael B, can you see the 15-minute chart that I have here? The software was telling me on a 15-minute chart, which has been working really well lately, to look for a down move until 2 a.m. September 1st, 2 a.m. Now, that's what happened. But I got cocky. Chase, I got cocky, and I drew these splits that I teach you guys about. I broke the main signal into 3 signals using a Fibonacci time retracement of sorts. And I was telling people, hey, this is going to be a buy time. I can't teach people about patterns on a Facebook page where I have like 2 minutes to get their attention. And so there's a new pattern, Chase, that I didn't get to teach them about called a pattern 9. And if your head's exploding, it's okay. Hold on. So I know this pattern exists. I know what usually happens when that pattern gets you. I know what a pattern 9 is. It's not in the software yet. It's not in the book yet. It's some pretty cutting edge alien technology. It's my newest discovery. But I knew about it. And then lo and behold, that green line. And so I want you to see how important timing patterns are. And they're not hard to learn, it's just different. And so if you draw this line the same way I drew it here, Dave, check it out. This candle here, Chase, is closest to my green line. So that's my signal. Higher close, higher high, higher close, higher high, higher close, higher high, higher close, higher high, and then the 4th candle right here. Check out the pattern that I just taught you. Dave, can you see it? Rajesh, can you see it? Chase? I've seen hundreds of these, thousands probably. My brain knew when this was happening. I wanted to go on all of the 7 forums, all of the 7 Facebook groups, about 150,000 traders, and scream, it's not going up. I wanted them to know. I wanted to tell them. What does it do? Same as a pattern 5. These notes are from February. If you look at the properties of this picture, I've known about this since February. And so I could only trade it long if it broke that high. But I know that it's a pattern 9. So Bala, let's follow it through. Ready? If I trade it on a 15-minute chart, it has to puncture the line. I'm going to buy it right here. My stop is going to be right here, just underneath that line. And so I know how a 9 works. It's just like a 5. It comes, actually, no, it didn't go. This is the signal. Yep, no, it's right. And so that's a stop. I got excited. I have my glasses off and everything looks great. So that would have been a loss right there. So the patterns are everywhere. But when I saw that forming and it dropped about 9 points straight down, I was like, oh, yeah, I can't explain this one away to those guys. Coincidentally, if you split that into thirds again, you see what happened here? When's the next move up coming? About 5:30, 6 o'clock. So the patterns are everywhere, is what I'm trying to tell you. And if we activate them on any of the charts, they give us guidance. So Michael B, I don't want to say your name wrong. There's a signal at 3:26, and there's a signal right after it. Watch this. We disengage the simple stuff. We overlay the fancy stuff. We let the computer translate all of those signals for me. And can everyone see what happened at those times now? I wouldn't have gone long in the NASDAQ. I had to break that structure right there. I could have gone long at 328 because that's an opposite signal. And I would have bought it from here to here. So check this mamma jamma out. With the advanced rules, I'm now long from 326 until 347. I'm long at 347 until the close of the pattern 5 signal. There's another $6. This is a pattern 5. All you crazy pants would have shorted it. I didn't short it. Low risk, just above the high. It closes below the moving average. I short it and I exit at 555 for another $6. Pattern 4 is here. Pattern 4 is here. And now Bala, I can't short it until it goes through the line. It goes through the line right here at 350. My stop goes above that candle. Pattern 4 trend continuation. I'm short right here and I get out at 604. The patterns are informing what I'm going to see up here and down here and over here. But we've known about these times since Tuesday. And when we get to the times 2 days later, any questions about that? It's not just the NASDAQ, right? We can go back and look and see those signals earlier today. Long from 159 until 202. Pattern 5 signal here. I have to trade the breakout of that high. Come back to earlier in the morning and you'll see those same patterns. We know what to do when we get there. The signal at 8:31, right? The selling signal at 8:32. And in concert, the software is telling us what to do when we get to the times. Yeah. So we can apply this to different markets. I can look at the mini Dow, for example. It's doing the same thing. Short at the blue dots under the moving average, long at the white dots above the moving average. When we're trending up, we're buyers. When we're trending up, we're buyers. When we're trending down, we're sellers. That's the recommended method anyway. And so that works on our 5-minute S&P chart. And now you understand why these arrows underneath the signals are so important. They inform us moving up at 305 and down at 340. But the biggest moves of the day in the largest index we can follow, whose times were known since Tuesday, caught the biggest moves of the morning session, hands down. That's 100%. Up at 650, down at 820, up at 920, down at 1025, move up at 1130, down at 1235. And then right over here at 130, I will leave you with this because it's so cool when you find a new pattern. Look, watch it with me one last time. Higher high, higher close, higher high, higher close, higher high, higher close. Adolfo, that is a pattern what? 9. What do pattern 9s do? The same things pattern 5s do. I could have sold it short right there. But there's nothing in the software yet, just a note on my desktop about what to expect. So I know 8 patterns right now. There's probably more, but for now, I think it's good enough. Most people are passing their Apex trading, investing tests with the software with these patterns just fine. Everything else is gravy. Any questions about this as I go to wrap it up? Michael, you've been really quiet. You haven't said much. I think Mike thinks if he asks a question, we charge his credit card. That is not the case. It is not the case. Yeah, sure. I sure do. Yeah. No, ES and NQ have different times. ES and NQ have different times. So if I change this to a 3-minute chart, they'll have different times than the 5-minute chart because there are smaller moves. There are smaller moves on a 3-minute chart. Smaller pivots, smaller turns. So a 3-minute chart is different. Yes, the smaller the moves, the more frequent the times, the smaller the time frame. If I go all the way down, we used a 1-minute E-mini S&P chart today in my training room. And you can see there's a lot of times. It's just smaller movements. Yeah, it works. It works. So, I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. Let me tell you how to get it, because you can have it. You don't have to just sit here and watch me ramble on and on. Name of my company is based off of a popular 80s movie, Back to the Future. We liked it because it's the only movie where there's time travel involved. Our software goes back to the future. It tells you the times to expect, just like the Sports Almanac, which Biff stole from Marty, by the way. He totally stole that. And it told him what games to bet on in the future, which football games, which team would win, which team would lose, and by how much. So we thought, what an appropriate analogy for how the software works. It tells you in the future if the buyers will win or lose, if the sellers will win or lose at a certain time. The program is called TachEon Warp. It's our flagship product. It's the introductory level of our series, and the one I'd say about 95% of people start with. If you would like a copy of it, I'm going to paste the link into the GoToWebinar chat box. If you want to follow along, you can click on backtothefuturetrading.com/tachyon-time-warp, and it will take you to this page. That balding potato head guy over there is me. And at the bottom of this page is a link, this orange Willy Wonka ticket. It tells you that the program is $24.95. Don't believe it. Don't believe it. There's a promo code. We have a training room that meets for traders using this program. You have to hit the buy button again. It'll add it to your cart. It's $150 a month. It meets Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 8 to 12. My partner and another customer who's been using the software for a really long time trade signals in a live environment, tell you what's coming up and how to follow along. If you need that kind of hands-on training, it's available. Just add it to your cart. If you don't need it, don't buy it. I don't care. Some people like to have it, and we offer that service for them. Here's a purchase agreement. No one reads those. Click on the terms and conditions right here. And if you enter promo code WARPOFF, a magical, wonderful thing happens. Promo code WARPOFF. I'm going to write it out for you because some of you can't spell. No spaces, no capital letters. WARPOFF. One word. Takes $500 off the price today. Happy Labor Day. That's going to include 2 computer licenses for NinjaTrader, lifetime updates. You're going to get free white glove installation. We'll make sure it's running and there's no issues with the program. Once it's on your computer, you're going to be able to change computer licenses as many times as you want. Please don't make it a habit, but no charge for that as well. We have a training video archive in the Customer Resource Center, everything you need to know about the program in bite-size pieces in chronological order. Learn this, do that, do that. Bazinga. We have been in business for close to 15 years. We have close to 5,000 customers, and we have, I think, a 4.5 or higher rating on Trustpilot.com. Reviews from actual traders who've bought the software, verified, validated, receipt-carrying customers. They've said all sorts of wonderful things about us. A couple guys not so happy, but you can't please all of the people all the time, I think. But after seeing all this, if you resonate with what I've taught you and you would like to know when the E-mini S&P is going to go up or down tomorrow, most likely, when NASDAQ futures are going to go up or down, most likely, when your Bitcoin investment, you should add a couple coins to it or maybe sell off some, whether your IRA 401k, your SPYs or QQQ options are setting up for a big run or about to peter out. We're the only company that is telling you what times to watch for these things based on the manipulations of the cheaters, the bankers, the algorithms, their high frequency trading things. And so I would love if you gave us an opportunity to work with you, to join our family of rebel time travelers and, learn the language. You will always see the signals coming on the right-hand side. You will always know in the future, for as many signals as you want, up to a week in advance, when to watch for the signals. And so I can see already tomorrow on the Dow. There they are. There's my plan. Okay, Adolfo, no problem. You'll know in the future when the times are coming. You won't overtrade. You'll hold your trades that are winning longer. You'll get out of losers faster. All the things people say when they review the software. All the people. Larry, I'm kind of done right now. I'm over my time limit by about I'm over my time limit by about 20 minutes, so I got to wrap it up. All right, guys. Well, Bala, I have special editions that have some stuff you guys don't have in it that I'm testing. The most updated version is on the website. That's the one you should have. No, Adolfo, I know. A lot of people are looking and they find us, and that's fine. You've just found us and you're exactly where you need to be. And so this is it. I want to be a part of your family. I want to be a part of your engineering group. I want to make sure when you trade, you have the best thing possible. I want to make sure you have institutional grade defense systems, that you know what they're planning in advance. You know how far they're likely to move, when they're likely to move, and when they're likely to stop. Timing, we believe, is the most important thing in trading. Trading is about a guess. Will the market be higher or lower 5 seconds, 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days from now? No other company is doing this. No other indicator you have can do this. Price action alone, it's one hand clapping. That's kind of profound. All right. I love you guys. Thank you so much. If you get an email or a phone call from David, he's helping you onboard. He'll give you some options and some opportunities to get the software, tell you what's required, and make sure you can find a way to do it. Please respond to David's emails and phone calls. He's on your side. He wants you to do well, and he's seen his other customers succeed. So please give him an opportunity to help you get on board here today. May the wind be at your back. May the sun shine on your SPF 50 colored faces. May the mountains rise up. No, we want them to go down. May the mountains lay low before you. May the valleys rise up to meet you on your journey. I wish you peace, prosperity, health, all of your dreams on your dream board this year. I hope they come true. Move in that direction. Life is short. We only have so much time with our friends. Make the most of every second. Don't sit in front of a computer all day. Let the program tell you what times to trade. Take your trades. Go outside. Eat a sandwich. Walk the dog. Kiss your wife. Watch a funny movie. There's so much stuff to do. Don't get locked inside of your cubicle, your little computer hidey hole, watching every bar and wondering, is this my entry? Is this my entry? There's other things to do out there. Guys, have a great night. I'll see you next week. And for those of you moving on without us, be careful out there. And remember, sometimes when you're just hitting buy, sell, that's not trading. It's closer to gambling. And you may not be doing what you think you're doing. If that's the case, it's okay to stop and take a time out and reevaluate before you can lose everything. That's the downside of this. If you're trying to do it the other way, the odds are 90% of you are going to lose 90% of your account in the next 90 days. That stat never changes. So please consider, if you don't have a plan, you don't have a system, maybe this isn't for you. And that's okay too. You get to keep all your stuff, your house, your wife, your kids, if you figure that out fast enough. I love you guys. I'll see you later. Have a great night. And remember, the market you trade is not random, in my opinion. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.